All right, I don't know how good this picture's focused there, but that's me in Radio Shack, 1975. Radio Shack, West Bell Plaza, Wayne. I don't remember the store number. I won't say the manager's name. He might still be alive. But anyway, I was hanging at the Radio Shack so much, and I got laid off, and the unemployment office told me under the Trade Readjustment Act that I had to find a job in a different field for so many hours. The kid's unemployment was totally wrong. Under trade readjustment, when I got laid off from RCA, I was supposed to go in a special room with everybody else from RCA. Kid screwed up. I hung at the Radio Shack, got the manager to hire me, started working at the Radio Shack, and then trying to get out of the Radio Shack job in order to get back into trade readjustment. Long, long story. But anyway, there's me with my wacky tie and my little name badge and the whole thing. And I told you many times I'm an electronic technician, went to school, and I had some of the biggest asshole customers that come in and they buy something and argue with me that it was going to work. It didn't work. They bring it back without the box, without the packing. That's a different story. Let me tell you a fun story. Okay? It's sort of funny. It's sort of sad. So on Christmas, we get different products in that only got at Christmas time. You get little Commander Zach or whatever it was on the motorcycle. You rev it up and he shoots across the room. We got the Wankel the visible Wankel engine, or the maybe it was the V8 kit. We got little remote control cars, depending on what year it was. Well, this year in 1975, they got heavily into these animal radios, and they were furry animals, and they had a radio in them. And the knobs, the volume and the tuner knob was on the chest of the animal. And in order to change the battery, you had to unzip the ass of the animal to change the battery. Now, we did get people bring them back, and they put it in your face. Look at this. Look at this. Put it right up in your face. All right, what's wrong? Look where the batteries go. Sorry, give them their money back. All right, so in comes a really beautiful woman, probably from Sweden, blonde, blue eyes, incredibly good looking. She had her little blonde haired daughter with her, very good looking. And I'm looking at this woman, and she has no makeup on. And I'm looking at her, and I'm saying, this is probably the most beautiful woman I've ever seen up close. Okay? And I'm looking at her, and then she starts talking. And then you realize she's used to getting her own way all the time. I'm basically, if I don't give her what she wants, I'm just slowing her down. So I said, what can I do for you today? And she says, I need a radio my daughter can't break. And I said, what's going on? She says, well, in order to get my daughter to go to sleep, she puts a radio on. Well, somehow the daughter handles the radio, drops it, and breaks it. So I stood there and I thought for a second, and I went over, and hanging from the ceiling. Now you lift the ceiling block tile up, and you put this plastic bag up in there. And in the plastic bag was a cat, a raccoon, and some type of like a Pekingese dog with real long hair. Well, anyway, I bring back the raccoon. I take it out of the plastic bag. I show her the batteries go in through the ass. I said, do you have a problem with that? No. I said, look. And I take the radio, I turn it on, and I start dropping it on the counter. And I said to her, it's padded. In other words, the radio is sitting in a padded animal, and it's going to be really hard for her to break it. So she agrees with me. So she buys the radio, and off she goes. Now, so you got a bunch of these radios hanging from they're hanging from the ceiling block tile. And I had this woman come in. I want to see that one there. So you bring it down, and she opens it up on the counter. And in the Pekingese one, whatever the hell the dog was, it comes with a brush. And the woman starts combing the hair out. Let me see this one. She had 3 of them out on the counter, opened up, and she's combing the hair. And I said, are you going to buy one of these? No, she was mentally ill. She just wanted to take the animals down and play with them. I was like, oh, come on. So, and my manager, he had a habit of going in the back room, closing the door, and laughing hysterically. Okay, that's what he used to do. because he knew what retail was all about. So anyway, I put the dogs back in each bag, and you twist it at the top, and you put it back up in the ceiling. And you know, you got the people coming in. They want their free flashlight. We had a free flashlight offer, and they get the flashlight for free. They get like a certificate in the newspaper. Come in for your free flashlight. So they come in, and then you try to sell them batteries. Well, you sell them batteries, and then you put the batteries in, and they have to turn the flashlight on and shine it in your freaking face. And they were long, like police flashlights with 5 batteries in them. And by the end of the day, you were seeing spots. So at some point, they came through with a sticker over the light bulb with a thing on it, buy batteries, whatever. And so they would peel that off, then shine it in your face. I'm not kidding you. These customers were a-holes. And so many times I wanted to beat somebody to death with one of those flashlights. Well, anyway, we ran out of the free flashlights. And then you got the people coming in with the coupon 6 months after we had them for free. And I said, there's an expiration on the day. Yeah, well, I couldn't get here. You know all those stories. You have those people in front of you in stores with their coupons. They're expired, and I couldn't get here that week, or, you know, all that stuff. So anyway, a month or so goes by, and in comes the beautiful woman again with the little daughter. And I know right away it's her. And I'm thinking, oh, look, I helped her out so much. She's coming back to buy something else. No, she puts the raccoon radio on the countertop, and I look, and the volume control knob's missing. The daughter snapped it right off, and I look at it. I take the radio out of the raccoon, and I realize I can't fix it. So I said, I can give you your money back. You know, I talked to the manager. No, it works out really well. It puts her to sleep. I want this fixed. And I said, we don't repair a $16 animal radio. We don't send that out to repair. There's no way to repair it. Well, she said, I want satisfaction. And then you realize how a beautiful woman can be the nastiest thing on the freaking planet. I said, I got my manager out there, and he says, I'll call around and I'll get another one. So she leaves, and she leaves in a huff. She's gone. And I'm sitting there going, that woman is so beautiful and so freaking nasty at the same time. You know? Realize that the daughter snapped the volume control off. So my manager calls around, and he finds a store that's got one. And you have A, B, and C stores. And when you sell stock between stores, they can really stick it to you. So he got it stuck to him. He got a raccoon. He got it stuck to him. The next day I come in on my shift, and there's the raccoon on the countertop, and it's got a big cigar burning in the tail. And the manager goes, you know how much I paid for this? He paid like $32 for it from another store, and it goes for $16 at Christmas. It might even go down in price for sale at the end of Christmas. Well, anyway, so we got it, and he goes, look at the tail. I said, I won't say the guy's name. I won't say the guy's name. But in other words, I said, look, I can take the radio out, and we'll move it over into the other one, into hers. And I did, and I made sure it worked. Called her up. She comes and gets it. No thank you, no that, off she goes. So now we got this raccoon without a radio in it, and it's got a big burn mark in the tail, like somebody was torturing it with a cigar. So we take, and this is back in the days where we had actually ashtrays in the store. That's a bunch of other stories. So anyway, we take the raccoon, we put him back on the shelf. He's just sitting there like as a bad memory. Now, whenever we had a bad day, one of the things we do when we locked up, we would kick batteries around, D battery. During the day, we would open the front door, and you could put a D battery up in the door, in the hinge itself area, and it would hold the door open. So that battery was basically shot by the end of the day. So we would kick it around, like play soccer with it after we would close, while the manager did the books in the back, and we would wait till he balanced everything out before we'd leave, because if you had any question about a receipt or money was missing, blah, 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 blah. So we kicked the battery around. Well, one time a company shopper came too late, but he reviewed the store anyway, and he complained that the store was well organized, blah, 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 the whole thing, but the 2 employees were kicking something around the store. So anyway, when the district manager came, he read that to us, and he says, whatever you were doing, don't do it anymore. So that was the end of our battery hockey. Well, anyway, the raccoon's sitting in the back, and he's up on the shelf. And we had a habit of, if someone went to go in the bathroom, someone go in to pee or poop, you'd hit the door real hard with an antenna mast. And one time I was so tired of it, because you get really stressed out with customers. You go in the back and you got to take a poop, and you really don't like taking a poop at a store bathroom. Well, anyway, you're sitting there, and somebody will take an antenna mast and hit the door with it and scare the crap out of you, or basically make it so you can't crap. So I got tired of this. So when the one guy that always did it to me went in the bathroom, and he's sitting there on the bowl, I took they're grounding rods for antenna systems, and they're like copper coated steel, and you hammer them in the ground, and that's your ground. And they got a real sharp edge on them. I start putting them through the door. Door is a real thin prefab door. I start putting them through like a like a magician does in the box, and they went right through the door like butter. And I'm putting them through the door, and I hear the guy screaming on the other side because he's sitting at the toilet, and these things are coming by his head. Anyway, he finishes up. He comes out. We open the door up, and there's the things, and I could realize how close I come to hitting him in the head with the things. Well, anyway, it was real funny. And then we pulled the rods out of the door, and we put a big Radio Shack anniversary sticker over the door. All right. So anyway. We covered the holes up that way. So anyway, district manager comes out. Oh, so anyway, we had a really bad customer, being a real jerk, and he leaves the store. And we really wait till he gets in the car and he drives away. And then we freaking go nuts in the store. What an asshole, blah, 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 the whole thing, So we go in the back room, and we're closing up. We're really aggravated. The guy kept us 10 minutes past closing time. And he didn't buy the thing. He just became a bigger and bigger jerk. And he was drunk. So we go in the back, and we're standing there and complaining about the customer. And I turn to the raccoon. And when I was younger, I seen this kid do this to a doll in a doll carriage one time. He's looking at the baby doll there, and he goes, "What are you looking at?" Like that. He just went like berserk. The kid was crazy. He went berserk. He starts spitting on the baby and bitch slapping the baby. And the woman, that was her daughter's baby in the baby carriage, it was a doll. She sees that, she comes out, she bawls him out in front of me, and then she turns to me and says, "You're old enough to have stopped him from doing that." I said, "Really? I don't know." Well, anyway, I sort of relived that. I'm looking at the raccoon across the thing, I'm saying, and I said to the raccoon, I said, "What are you looking at?" And they're like, the two other guys with me are laughing. That's pretty funny, because the raccoon's got this look. He's got the burnt tail. And one of them picks up one of them lightning rods, grounding rods. And he like beats the raccoon with it. Well, now the three of us are beating the raccoon there's nothing left of it. Now, this is exactly the same as if you ever watched Office Space, where the guys take the printer out in the field. That printer keeps jamming all the time. Watch the movie. It's really good. Office Space. They beat the crap out of the printer that they have to put up with every day. And that's what we did to the raccoon. The raccoon fur broke up in little pieces. The stuffing went everywhere. We picked up, generally cleaned it up and then threw it in the garbage. All right, so now district manager comes in. And a lot of times they check the drawer when they first come in. And then they walk around the store, see how clean it is. They check for dust. The guy goes in the back room, and he's picking up the dust, the stuffing that was inside of the raccoon. So he's like, "What is this stuff?" And I said, the air conditioning guy was in, the air conditioning heating. I said, he moved some ceiling block tiles. I said, that could be insulation that came down. Now, I can't say anything. He's not going to climb up there and move one of the ceiling block tiles. So then he finds the two eyeballs of the raccoon. It's like a mask. Like a raccoon has a mask. Well, for some reason, the two eyeballs stayed together. They're little beads that move. And he picks up, "Well, what is that?" I said, "Where'd you get that from?" He says, "Up here." I said, "Puh." I said, I'll be honest with you. I never looked that high up on the shelf. I said, "You reach up there." I don't know what that is. He couldn't figure out what it was. He couldn't figure out it was the two eyes from a raccoon radio. Okay? So he's like looking at that. Then he goes over on the door, and the 25th anniversary or 75th anniversary of Radio Shack. Got this full-length door thing. And he pulls the door, he goes, this should have been down months ago. He pulls that down. Now there's all these freaking doors, these holes in the door. And he's like, what the hell is that? I said, I never noticed it. I said, I've been working here. That poster's always been up here since I've been working here. And the other guy, yeah, because we used to move around stores so much that must have been the previous guy. What do we know? He goes, he goes to the manager, you better get that door fixed. So how we fixed that door? He leaves. A couple days later, next door to the store is a store that's being refurbished. And this guy from the plant shed, I won't say his name, he was a druggie. He's hilarious though, and he had a degree in botany, so he could go out in the woods and come back with drugs that he could do. Well, anyway, he goes, I said, we got to get a new door. And he goes, next door, they're refurbing the store next door, and it's open. I go, you're kidding. So we walk back there, and every store is the same. So I pull the pins out of the door, and I walk outside one store and back in the back door in another, and I pull the pins out of our door. I put it on, and I make sure the door works perfectly. I take our door, and I go over, and I put it in there. So anyway, a week later, the district manager comes in, and he goes in the back. You know, he's going to say, hey, I told you to get that door fixed. Well, he goes back there to check the door, and he's opening and closing it, and it works perfectly, right? He goes, how did you fix that door? I said, the refurbing next door, and they redid the store inside, and I said, they threw the door out. I said, I saw it, just on the back. They didn't want it. I tried it to fit, and then I threw our old door in the dumpster. Hilarious stuff. This is the crap we used to pull. This is what you have to do or you get fired. All right. Now I want to tell you another story. We had a little display with different car radios that we sold for people to put in their cars. Back in '75, you could still buy a car without a radio, or you'd buy it with a cheap AM radio and take it out and put one in that had a cassette deck. So one of the guys that's a good customer, he comes in and he goes, I bought that radio over there. And he says, it hardly gets any stations. I said, bring it back. So he brings it back, and I go over to test it. And I unplug it's called a Motorola plug. You unplug it on the back of the radio, you plug it in, hook it to the 12 volts, flip on the display, and now I'm powering the radio. And he's going up and down the band. It's getting every damn station. So he's like, man, this thing works really good in here. So I grabbed the antenna. Out of the display, there's a car antenna. And I grab it with my hand, and it doesn't cut the radio at all. Nothing happens. I said, something ain't right. So I pulled the display out, and I looked. That antenna's not even hooked up. It's hooked to a piece of wire that's going to the roof of the store. I said to the manager, because you can't get anything in the store with the radio. I said, this radio don't pick up anything when it's in the car. So we gave the guy the money back. But the stuff you would find in Radio Shack, like you have a customer come in, an old person, and they go, I need the mailing boxes for cassettes. And I'm like, mailing box for cassettes? He goes, yeah, you sell them. And he goes in the not the manual, the catalog, and he shows me. I said, dude, I've been in here over a year hanging around stocking these shelves. I've never seen those things. I've never sold them. So a guy leaves. So a couple months later, we're doing inventory. And we get these boxes in. And the manager says, just stack them over here on top of the other ones. So we stack them. I said, what's in these? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're the manager. So I open the box, and it's those mailers. They come in like oak tag, and it's got where you put the stamp and everything. At one time, you could mail cassette tape through the mail pretty cheap. And you keep in touch with someone. You send them a tape, then they send the tape back. But some of the funny stuff that happened, and I want to tell you about the surprise boxes. If you're an old timer, Radio Shack sold what's called a surprise package. Now, being salesmen, we would get say 20 of them in. All right, and I hate to say we did this, but we did. You open the surprise box up, all 20 of them. We dump them on the floor in the store. We would pick out the stuff we wanted for ourselves. and then repack the boxes. All right. So I sometimes when you'd open a box, all it was the logos for a radio. One surprise box, that's all it had was logos. Another box would have some hardware. Some would have 1 or 2 circuit boards in them. Some would have rubber feet, rubber grommets, capacitors. A couple of times there was a transformer in one of them, and this one guy I worked with in there, he actually used one of the transformers to fix one of them little cheap little stereos. He just he put it in color for color, and the thing came on. But some of the boxes were real duds, all right? But it's a surprise package, and I think it was like $488 or $380, whatever it was in price. Now, this is back in 1975. So we would dump them out on the floor, and then we repackage them up, and then we sell them. And I got a phone call from a woman, and she complained to me. She says, you know, my husband, every few months, he drives around between all the stores, and he's so excited about to get a surprise pack. I said, well, honestly, I've seen what people get. I explained to her. I said, give me your phone number. I said, the next time I get them in, I'll give him a call, you know. So I really loaded his box up. He comes and picks it up. And I put a little bit of everything in that box, okay? And then he went home, and she called up. She says, he's so excited. I'm like, yeah, wait till he buys the future ones, and he gets one that's nothing but labels. You know, I kept trying to think of what else was in some of those boxes, you know. Never like IC chips. Mostly you get a box of resistors, maybe some terminal strips. And what it was is Radio Shack had a repair center. And little by little, they were closing it down. And they take the parts and put them into a bin. And they also had, Radio Shack sold parts. And they buy up resistors from companies that closed. And then whatever they had left over. And a lot of the stuff was Kenwood equipment. It was actually the guy that did our repairs. We got some tuner assemblies, and they were from Kenwoods. And that some of the Radio Shack stereos were Kenwoods. That's what was so funny, is a guy would come in and point to one of our radios and say, this is like my Kenwood I got home, but it's $30 cheaper than his Kenwood. And that's because he overpaid for his stereo. Okay, way overpaid, because Radio Shack was retail. On the sale, you got pretty decent stuff. A lot of the speakers were Pioneer, because when we would get the repair, their speakers, Radio Shack speakers, were guaranteed forever. I won't say warranted, guaranteed. If you burnt the speaker out, you just bring the speaker in. You can bring the whole speaker in or just the speaker itself. They look at it, and then they call a number, and then a speaker will be shipped to the store. They call you up, and you come get it. And Radio Shack had some really good deals if you really understood what they were doing. And some of the funny stuff was, as Lafayette Radio was going out of business, people were coming in with their Lafayette CBs, wanting us to get it fixed. And I said, Lafayette's still in business. Yeah, but they're going to be closed in another month. And I heard you're buying them out. And if I send it to them to be repaired, the repair center might close down, and they might keep my CB radio. What stories these people used to tell? I said, hold on. Call the district manager up, tell him the story, and then he'd tell me to tell the customer, we're not buying Lafayette radio out. Okay, that's it. We're not taking the radio in. Now, years later, Radio Shack would take in anybody's product and try to fix it. They thought they were going to make money with repairs. That's a big mistake. A repair center, it basically, it's to go along with a company that's selling a product. The repair center itself doesn't make money. Okay, a repair business. I found that out when I was in aircraft repair. We made the instruments new, and we made the instruments, and we repaired the instruments. The repair side was a deficit to the manufacturing side. I think that's it. All right, that's it.